Agile estimation has a problem. Story points were supposed to bring clarity to planning, but let's face it, they often do the opposite. And it's not just about bad numbers, it's about bad thinking. The real key to estimation isn't just AI. It's how we break work down, how we plan together, and how we adapt. So the real question is, can AI help Agile teams finally fix estimation? Or will it cause more problems? Let's dive in. Hello world, I'm David Scott Bernstein and welcome to The Passionate Programmer. Why is estimation so difficult? Estimation isn't really about numbers. It's about understanding. And that's where story points often get in the way. Story points lack a standard meaning. One team's 3 is another team's 8. The bigger the story, the bigger the risk, the less precision we have. Large tasks hide unknowns that break estimates. Story point arguments miss the point. It's better to break down than debate about numbers. I really don't know how to say this, but in my opinion, story points are a kludge. Story points are a band-aid fix for something that's much more dire, which is a lack of story breakdown. The key to being able to write stories and implement them well is being able to break them down to their smallest components. And when we use story points, we're ignoring that critical process. We say, oh, well, this is a big story, so we'll just assign it a bigger number. But by doing that, we don't break it down into its elements. And by not breaking it down into its elements, we introduce enormous amounts of complexity in our build. It's much easier to build 5 simple things than one really complex thing. Yesterday's weather works better than estimation anyway. And you can do yesterday's weather without disturbing the team at all. What's yesterday's weather? It's really simple. You just look at the last sprint and the number of stories you got done in the last sprint or the last 5 sprints on average is probably the number of stories you'll get done on this sprint. It turns out that this is the most accurate way of estimating, and it doesn't involve any intervention. Now, there's another component that's critical to estimation, which is thinking about the problem. That's why we really do estimation, because it helps us bring our minds into how are we going to actually do this? What is it that we're actually building? But velocity trends really always beat guesswork. This is data-driven, and it works well. So if you wanted to abandon story points and estimation altogether and just look at yesterday's weather, you'd do 2 things. You'd free up the team's time and you'd create a more accurate set of estimations. My friend Troy McGinnis thinks of estimation in a bit of a different way. He thinks about estimating using Monte Carlo. So instead of coming up with one estimate for one date, he comes up with multiple estimates for multiple dates. So he says, given these stories and given this date, there's an X probability that it will be completed by that date. There's a different probability for a different date or for a different set of things that need to be built. And so they can play with those numbers until they feel comfortable with the right feature set on the right delivery date. And what we're doing is we're engaging in a conversation that's productive. This is what estimations are really all about, is the conversation. It's not the number, it's the understanding that comes from the number. If story points aren't working, then abandon them and get really good at breaking tasks down. If you can break stories down so that they're all small, can be done within half a day to a day, then you don't need story points at all. And the accuracy of your estimates will skyrocket. Story points add a tremendous amount of ambiguity into our estimates. People aren't realizing this. So we want to find the right trade-off between the amount of effort required to make the estimate and the accuracy of the estimate. Actually, estimation is a losing game. So I recommend don't do it. Use yesterday's weather. I know that teams need to have some idea of when they're going to be done for marketing, for maintenance issues, for other business coordination, rather than arguing over whether it's an 8 or a 13 or a 5. See if you can break it down. Make them all small and see how many smalls you can get out of that big story. AI can flag estimation risks, but should we trust it? Now AI is studying sprint histories, detecting patterns, and even suggesting story breakdowns. But is that helpful? Or are we just automating a broken practice? AI can spot hidden trends in your velocity or identify historical overcommitments. AI-based test data shows where your estimates failed in the historic past, which can be quite useful for the present. But context matters. AI can't know why features were delayed or how long it should take for a feature to be built. If AI can spot trouble early, can it guide us towards better planning without replacing our judgment? If your developers are still doing everything manually, then you're already behind. AI can automate huge parts of your team's workflow, but only if your team knows how to prompt it correctly. The AI Automation Guide gives them exact workflows and language patterns to streamline testing, code reviews, documentation, and much more. Get the free AI Automation Guide and start shipping smarter, not just faster. Download this free guide as part of my AI for Agile toolkit. The link is in the description. So what's the future of Agile estimation beyond story points? Story points help us grow, but it's time to evolve. And we can be part of that future if we use AI wisely. Rather than trying to focus on better estimations, I try to focus teams on being more efficient and effective. Instead of saying when a project will be done, we estimate a range of what could be delivered by certain dates. This is perfect for making trade-offs. Churchill said, plans are worthless, but planning is essential. And I agree. Planning is a valuable process, but the plans themselves are subject to change. That's what agility really means. And change is a discussion that brings value. So it's good to have. Yesterday's weather remains an unbeatable way to have a sense of how much work can be done in each sprint. So use that. It's the simplest and most accurate form of estimation, and it also takes very little effort. The real value of estimation is in the learning. Instead of arguing over story points, discuss examples. Gojko Ezek wrote an amazing book called Specification by Example, where he shows how working through a few simple examples helps us get super clear on how to build a system. What would planning look like if we removed estimation sessions entirely and just focused on flow? I know a lot of teams that do this, quite to their benefit. So AI can help, but it's people who make the calls. We're the ones who have to commit, so we're the ones who have to understand and agree. So maybe the real future of Agile estimation isn't in numbers. It's in better conversations and faster feedback. And while AI can help us plan smarter, what happens when it starts deploying our code for us? That's what we'll explore in the next episode. You're already thinking about AI and Agile. The next step is AI and DevOps. Estimation and planning are the beginning of AI and Agile. DevOps is where automation really takes over. If you're interested in how AI can help us build more reliable software faster, then check out this next video. And until then, happy coding.